Empathy. It's the bedrock of human connection, the key to compassion and understanding. When we empathize, we step into someone else's shoes, feeling their joy and sorrow as if they were our own. But what if this powerful force, this cornerstone of our humanity, could also be a source of pain? We often hear about the benefits of empathy, but rarely do we discuss its potential pitfalls. The truth is, empathy, when unchecked and unbalanced, can lead us down a slippery slope, ensnaring us in psychological traps that can impact our mental well-being. Today, on the Psychometrician, we're diving deep into the often overlooked dark side of empathy. We'll be dissecting 5 empathy-based psychological traps, unraveling their complexities, and equipping you with the knowledge to navigate these treacherous emotional terrains. Hey everyone, I'm Roy, and if you're passionate about psychology and mental health, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon to stay updated with our latest insights. Let's dive in. Let's start with a trap that many of us, especially those in caregiving professions or those who are naturally drawn to helping others, know all too well. Empathy burnout. Imagine yourself as a vessel, a container of empathy, constantly pouring out compassion and understanding to those around you. You give selflessly, absorbing their pain, their anxieties, their fears, until one day you realize you have nothing left to give. That, my friends, is the essence of empathy burnout. It's a state of emotional depletion, a consequence of chronic and unchecked emotional giving. It's like running a marathon without ever stopping to refuel or rest. You become emotionally exhausted, drained, and ironically less capable of providing the empathy you once readily offered. So, how do we recognize the signs of empathy burnout? Look out for persistent fatigue, a pervasive sense of emotional exhaustion, difficulty experiencing joy or positive emotions, increased irritability and frustration, a sense of detachment or cynicism, and difficulty engaging in self-care activities. These are all red flags, signaling that your emotional reserves are running dangerously low. Remember, self-care is not selfish, it's an act of self-preservation. Just like a car needs regular maintenance to run smoothly, we need to prioritize our emotional well-being to continue showing up for ourselves and others. Recognizing the signs and acknowledging that you're not immune to burnout is crucial. Make time for activities that nourish your soul, whether it's reading, spending time in nature, listening to music, or engaging in hobbies that bring you joy. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. By prioritizing your well-being, you're ensuring you have the emotional resources to offer genuine empathy to others without sacrificing your own mental health. Our next empathy trap takes us into the fascinating realm of emotional contagion. Have you ever noticed how spending time with someone who's upbeat and positive can leave you feeling energized and optimistic? Conversely, have you ever felt your mood plummet after a conversation with someone who's perpetually negative? That, my friends, is emotional contagion in action. It's the phenomenon where we unconsciously mimic the emotions of those around us. Like a virus spreading through the air, emotions can be contagious, subtly influencing our own feelings and behaviors. Now, emotional contagion isn't inherently good or bad. It's a natural human tendency that allows us to connect with others on a deeper level. When we see someone smile, our mirror neurons fire up, triggering a cascade of neurological activity that makes us want to smile back. This automatic mirroring of emotions is essential for social bonding and empathy. However, problems arise when we're constantly exposed to negative emotions without realizing we're absorbing them. Think about a workplace rife with stress and negativity. Over time, you might find yourself feeling increasingly anxious and overwhelmed, even if you don't have a particularly stressful workload. The constant exposure to negativity creates an emotional atmosphere that's difficult to escape. So, how do we navigate this invisible emotional minefield? The key lies in awareness. Start by paying attention to your emotional state throughout the day. Are there certain people or environments that seem to trigger negative emotions? Once you identify these triggers, you can start to create healthy boundaries. By becoming more aware of emotional contagion, you can protect your emotional well-being and cultivate a more positive internal landscape. Chapter 3. Overidentification. When empathy blurs the lines between you and them, let's delve into a trap that highlights the fine line between healthy empathy and emotional entanglement. Overidentification. Empathy, at its core, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It's about putting yourself in their shoes and seeing the world through their lens. However, when empathy morphs into overidentification, we cross a critical boundary. We stop simply understanding their pain and start experiencing it as our own. Their problems become our problems. Their burdens become ours to carry. While this may stem from a place of genuine care and concern, it can quickly lead to emotional overload and a loss of personal identity. Imagine a friend going through a difficult breakup. You listen attentively, offering words of comfort and support. But as days turn into weeks, you find yourself consumed by their pain. You can't stop thinking about their situation, replaying their conversations in your head and feeling their heartbreak as if it were your own. You might even start neglecting your responsibilities, withdrawing from your social life, or experiencing physical symptoms of stress. This is a classic example of overidentification, where the lines between your friend's experience and your own become increasingly blurred. Overidentification often stems from a deep-seated need to fix or rescue others. We might believe that by fully immersing ourselves in their pain, we can somehow alleviate their suffering. However, this approach is not only unsustainable, but also detrimental to both parties involved. When we over-identify, we risk losing sight of our own needs and boundaries. We become so entangled in the other person's emotional world that we neglect our own. By cultivating healthy boundaries and practicing self-compassion, you can offer genuine support without sacrificing your own emotional well-being. Chapter 4. Empathic Overload. When you're drowning in a sea of emotions, let's explore a trap that often sneaks up on us when we're constantly bombarded with emotional information. Empathic Overload. Imagine yourself as a computer processor, diligently processing data from multiple sources. Now, imagine the influx of data increasing exponentially, overwhelming your system's capacity to handle the load. That's essentially what happens during empathic overload. We become inundated with the emotions of others, whether it's through personal interactions, social media, or even the news. Our empathic system goes into overdrive, trying to process and respond to every emotional cue, every plea for help, every tragic story we encounter. This constant exposure to emotional stimuli can lead to a state of overwhelm, leaving us feeling emotionally drained, numb, and disconnected. It's like having 1,000 conversations happening in your head simultaneously, leaving you feeling mentally and emotionally exhausted. Empathic overload often affects individuals who are highly sensitive and empathetic by nature. They have a heightened ability to tune into the emotions of others, which can be both a gift and a curse. While this sensitivity allows them to connect deeply with others, it also makes them more susceptible to emotional overload. So, how do we protect ourselves from empathic overload in today's hyper-connected world? The key lies in setting healthy boundaries and practicing self-care. Start by limiting your exposure to emotionally charged situations. This might involve taking breaks from social media, avoiding sensationalized news stories, or setting boundaries with individuals who tend to be emotionally draining. By learning to regulate your empathy, you can maintain your emotional equilibrium and continue to navigate the world with compassion and understanding. Chapter 5. Empathic Manipulation. When your empathy is weaponized against you. Now, let's venture into the most insidious of empathy traps. Empathic manipulation. This trap highlights the dark side of human nature, where empathy, instead of fostering connection, is used as a tool for exploitation. Empathic manipulation occurs when someone leverages your empathy, your ability to understand and share their feelings, to control or manipulate you. They might exaggerate their emotions, play the victim, or guilt trip you into doing things you wouldn't normally do. They know you're compassionate, that you care about others, and they use that to their advantage. Think about the friend who always seems to be in crisis, constantly demanding your time, energy, and resources. They might call you at all hours, expecting you to drop everything to cater to their needs. Or consider the coworker who manipulates you into taking on their workload by playing on your sense of guilt or obligation. These are prime examples of empathic manipulation, where your empathy is weaponized against you. You're left feeling emotionally drained, resentful, and unsure of how to set healthy boundaries without feeling guilty. Empathic manipulators are often skilled at emotional manipulation. They might use tears, anger, or guilt to evoke your sympathy and get what they want. They might twist your words, making you feel responsible for their emotions or actions. They might even threaten to harm themselves or others if you don't comply with their demands. So, how do we protect ourselves from falling prey to empathic manipulation? The first step is awareness. Recognize the signs of emotional manipulation and understand that it's not your responsibility to fix other people's problems, especially when they're using your empathy against you. Setting firm boundaries is crucial. Learn to say no without feeling guilty, and don't be afraid to distance yourself from individuals who consistently drain your energy and exploit your empathy. Trust your intuition. If something feels off, if someone's behavior seems manipulative or inauthentic, it probably is. By learning to recognize and navigate empathic manipulation, you can protect yourself from emotional exploitation and cultivate healthier, more fulfilling relationships. And there you have it, the 5 empathy-based psychological traps that can ensnare even the most compassionate souls. Remember, empathy is a beautiful, powerful force, but like any powerful tool, it needs to be handled with care and awareness. It's not about becoming immune to the emotions of others, but rather about cultivating a balanced approach to empathy, one that allows us to connect deeply with others without sacrificing our emotional well-being. By understanding these traps, setting healthy boundaries, and prioritizing self-care, we can harness the power of empathy for good, fostering genuine connections and building a more compassionate world without falling prey to its potential pitfalls. Host. And there you have it, the 5 empathy-based psychological traps that can sneak up on you if you're not careful. Remember, empathy is a gift, but it's essential to protect your emotional well-being too. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the Psychometrician for more insights into the world of psychology. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.